A man discovers his wife's affair, unraveling a deeper betrayal, emotional neglect. As he confronts the truth, the pain forces him to reflect on his life and marriage. Through the heartbreak, he begins to heal, realizing that love requires more than loyalty. It requires presence. The journey of healing begins. Hi everyone. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a brand new story to share with you. So let's begin. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you loved with all your heart? Imagine the woman you trusted the most, the one you built a life with, turning her back on you. For years, I thought I had it all: love, happiness, and a future. But when the truth came crashing down, everything shattered in an instant. My wife, the person I believed would never hurt me, had been unfaithful. The pain was unimaginable, like 1,000 knives piercing your soul at once. In the days that followed, I was left to pick up the pieces of my broken heart. The betrayal wasn't just about the affair. It was the lies, the secrets, the realization that everything I thought I knew about my life was a lie. How could I ever trust again? How could I move forward when every step felt like I was walking through fire? But through the wreckage, something began to stir inside me. The anger, the regret, the sadness. They were powerful. But so was my desire to heal. This is not just a story about betrayal, but about resilience. It's a journey of overcoming the pain, rebuilding trust, and learning what it really means to find peace after being broken. But just as I thought I was starting to heal, an unexpected twist emerged. Was this the end of my story? Or was it just the beginning of something far more complicated? Stay tuned. As I tried to move forward, I couldn't escape the constant questions swirling in my mind. How long had she been lying to me? Who was the man that took her away from me? And why? Every time I thought I was ready to confront her, a wave of doubt and fear would paralyze me. The betrayal wasn't just about the affair. It was the feeling of being replaced, of being forgotten. I had given her my trust, my loyalty, and now it felt like I had nothing left. I kept replaying moments in my head, the little things I missed, the signs I ignored. There were days when she seemed distant, even when we were together. But I never questioned it, never suspected anything. The thought of her with someone else, the thought of her love being shared with another man, was too painful to even imagine. Yet, somehow, it had all happened right under my nose. And then there were the silent moments, the long nights when she'd stay up late, texting or talking in whispers. I never dared to ask. Maybe I didn't want to know. But now, it felt like I had to uncover the full truth. I had to find out how deep this wound went. What else had I been blind to? The mystery of it all gnawed at me. But there was another battle I was facing, within myself. Could I ever forgive her? Was it even possible to rebuild after something so devastating? And would the truth bring closure? Or would it only leave me with more unanswered questions? The more I thought about it, the more the pieces of the puzzle didn't fit. She had been acting so strangely in the weeks leading up to the discovery, but I never questioned it. Why hadn't I seen the signs? I asked myself that question every day. But the truth was, I was too caught up in the life we had built together, too comfortable to think there was anything that could break it apart. As the days passed, I found myself obsessing over every little detail. I started checking her phone when she wasn't around, searching for any trace of him. But all I found were empty messages, erased calls, and cryptic replies. It was as if she knew I might suspect something and was one step ahead. Every time I thought I was close to unraveling the truth, she would cover her tracks, making it harder for me to find the answers I desperately needed. One evening, I decided to confront her. My heart was pounding in my chest, but my mind was clear. I needed to know. Was she still seeing him? Or was I just an afterthought in her life? When I asked her, her face went pale, and for a split second, I saw a flicker of guilt in her eyes. She quickly brushed it off, giving me a half-hearted excuse about being stressed at work. But something in her tone didn't sit right with me. The tension between us was unbearable. Every word felt like a lie, but I couldn't prove it. And that uncertainty was tearing me apart. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was still off, no matter how convincing her words seemed. The look in her eyes, when she told me she was just stressed, haunted me. It wasn't enough. I needed to know for sure. I had spent so many sleepless nights staring at the ceiling, wondering if I was being paranoid or if I had truly lost everything. But deep down, I knew the truth was out there. I just had to find it. A week later, everything changed. I found a letter. It was hidden in a drawer, tucked between some old papers she never touched. My hands trembled as I read it. It was a letter from him, the man who had stolen her from me. The words were raw, filled with passion and promises. They spoke of secret meetings, stolen moments, and a love that had blossomed in the shadows. My chest tightened as I read each line. I felt sick, betrayed, and somehow trapped in a nightmare I couldn't escape from. But then something caught my eye. A name. The name of a place I recognized. A small cafe where we used to go together when we first met. The thought of her there with him, laughing and sharing the same memories we once had, shattered me. I couldn't believe it. I thought I was ready for the truth, but this was beyond anything I had ever imagined. I knew then that I had to confront her. But as I prepared to face her, a new thought lingered. Was I ready to lose everything? I stood in front of the mirror, my hands shaking as I tried to calm my racing heart. The letter was still in my pocket, burning a hole in my side, a reminder of the betrayal that had taken root in my life. My mind kept replaying the words, the promises she had made to him, the laughter they shared in places that once meant something to me. How long had this been going on? Was this a one-time mistake, or had it been a slow unraveling that I had failed to see? I knew I couldn't wait any longer. The anger, the heartbreak, the confusion. It had all built to this moment. I needed answers, but as the clock ticked, the fear of what I might find grew. What if the truth was more than I could handle? What if there was more to the story than just an affair? The thought gnawed at me. Was this the end of us? Could I ever look at her the same way again? As I paced the room, my mind raced through all the possibilities. Would she deny it? Would she confess, breaking down in guilt? Or worse, would she try to lie her way out of it again, leaving me with even more questions than before? I walked toward the door, determined to confront her. The final moment was closing in. But was I truly ready for what I was about to face? I opened the door to find her sitting on the couch, her back turned, lost in thought. The room was quiet, too quiet. My heart was pounding in my chest as I stepped inside, the weight of the moment pressing down on me. Without saying a word, I held up the letter. She froze, her eyes flicking to it, then quickly darting away. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The tension hung thick in the air, suffocating. Finally, she spoke, her voice barely a whisper. "How long have you known?" I could barely form the words. The pain, the confusion, it all came rushing forward. "Long enough to know everything," I said, my voice shaking. Her face crumpled in guilt, but then To my surprise, she stood up, eyes filled with something deeper than regret, something darker. "I wasn't unfaithful because I didn't love you," she said, her voice trembling. "I did it because I was afraid." I stared at her, bewildered. "Afraid of what?" She took a deep breath, her voice breaking. "Afraid that you were never really there for me, that I was always second to your work, to everything else in our lives." I was stunned. Just as I thought I understood, the truth twisted into something else. But before I could respond, she looked at me one last time and said, "I'm sorry, but it's too late for us." And with that, she walked out, leaving me to face the overwhelming silence of a life I no longer recognized. As I stood there, the weight of her words settling in, I realized that the real betrayal wasn't just the affair, it was the emotional distance between us, the years of neglect that had built up unnoticed. In that moment, everything I thought I knew about our relationship shattered. I had been so focused on my career, on building a future, that I failed to see the cracks in our marriage. She had felt invisible, unheard, like she was constantly fighting for my attention. But as much as the pain stung, something shifted within me. Her leaving wasn't just an ending. It was a wake-up call. It was a reminder that love isn't just about loyalty, but about presence, about connection. I couldn't change what had happened, but I could learn from it. I could heal. Over the next few months, I focused on rebuilding my life. I began to rediscover parts of myself I had lost along the way. It wasn't easy, and there were days when the loneliness was overwhelming. But with time, I found peace. I learned that sometimes the hardest lessons come from the deepest wounds, and healing is a journey, not a destination. She moved on, and so did I. We both found our separate paths, but one truth remained clear. The journey of self-discovery and healing was only just beginning.